What is going on, everyone? Hope you guys are all having an amazing Sunday. My name's Ricky. So for those that are tuning in live, you're going to see a couple people. Where is it? Right here. You can see that there's a little sidebar. These are the people that are actually joining us live. So if you've never actually joined us live here for our Sunday Stock Talk, this is something that we do on a weekly basis. This is where me and my team come together and talk about some top quality stocks that we see value in. We simply break down stocks together. We talk about, I give my own 2 cents or my opinion on whatever stocks are being called out. And then I talk about kind of how I expect this week to play out and stuff like that. These are not any stock suggestions. You should never invest based on other people's opinion. You should never invest in what you don't understand. But altogether, it's an amazing community that, it's an amazing event. I think that if you do get the opportunity to ever join us live, it's every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and we'd love to be a part of your success if you guys could ever join us live. So thank you guys again. Hope your guys' weekend is going well. Mine, it's been a little bit different. It's been kind of like just a long weekend. I'm really excited to have this kind of weekend end up, kind of just ending, and I'm really looking forward to this week. Last week, my week ended a little bit over $3,300 profit. The week prior was a little bit over $3,800 profit. So I want to make sure that I continue my growth with my overall account, but that I don't, feel like, hey, just because I've been breaking 3K a week, that's something that I have to like aggressively go for, right? So realistically, I want to make sure that I minimize the overall positions that I take for the overall week and make sure that I focus on quality picks. And I want to thank you guys. I like that. What's going on, Jessica? So I'm going to say hello to a couple people that are joining us live, and then I'm going to get straight to it. My top picks, so this is kind of how it usually goes. I talk about the stocks that I see value in for about the first 10 minutes, and then I start breaking down stocks based on other people's opinion, and they start sharing it. So make sure that if you do want me to break down a stock for you, that you have it in the ticker call out format, which is like the ticker symbol, support and resistance, desired entry point, sell point, stop loss, and then why it has potential, as well as make sure that it's not right now, but it's going to be in about 10 minutes where I'm going to start breaking down stocks for other people. So right now I'm just going to be focusing on the ones that I see value in after I say what's up to everyone. So if you guys are tuning in live, I need you guys to do 2 things. I need you to say where it is that you are joining us live from, so the state or city or overall country where you're from, and then if you guys can hit that like button, it would really help me out. So let me know. Let's see what's going on. There's nothing to like yet. Oh man, you don't even think my smile, you don't think my smile is something to like? What's going on? We got Atlanta. Ooh, we got quite a bit of people. Oh, I can't even read this. I see. Oh, there it goes. This is so cool. Thank you guys again. What's going on? Thomas, Carlos, Johnny, Joseph, Ryan, Gerardo, Lindsay, Anthony, Purple Rose. What's going on? I like it. Obviously, we're super pumped. I don't know about, hey, how about we answer this? For all those that started trading, that started investing in the stock market, and actually started taking action, how amazing is it to actually look forward to Monday? A lot of people, especially if they have like day jobs, some people, if they really enjoy what they do, they look forward to Mondays, right? But for some other people, they really dread Mondays, right? And they love and look forward to the weekends. For me, it's kind of the opposite. I really like and love what it is that I do, so I always look forward to the week, right? So again, I get to make money out of investing money, and you guys know that. I mean, it's kind of like a quirky thing for me to, be in love with. But I mean, I love what it is that I do, and I wanted to ask you guys, like, do you guys feel the same way? Do you guys feel the same way in the sense that like we have so much opportunity that we are, presented, right? And it's just if you know how to properly articulate that you can take advantage of that opportunity. So Monday's gonna be bullish. I like it. So from Anaheim, California, what's going on? Let's see. I learned to love Mondays. I like it. So all right, we're about 4 minutes in, so let's go ahead and start talking about for me, I don't know if you guys noticed, so I'm going to actually close out this window. I'm going to close out this window, and I'm going to be talking about some very simple patterns. And in reality, I wanted to talk about something that actually happened. I think it was either Friday night or Saturday morning, and it was actually the huge push that gold had. It was due to some overall catalyst that let me actually just show you. So I actually did something for you guys. Now there's a very fluid transition with, there we go. I don't have to like drag and click or anything like that. It was actually a recommendation by one of our members. I'm just going to get straight to it. So if we look at the overall futures, since futures actually do trade during the weekend, right? So one pattern that I mean, it was one of my top callouts it was one of my callouts for Thursday, and it was J NUG. The reason why I saw potential in J NUG was because of the sell-off that /GC was having. And you see this SMA indicator that it previously acted as a support. If you guys saw, when I cut losses on J NUG, I actually sold at the very bottom. So if we look back for J NUG right here, we can look at the past, and this was my mistake, but I stuck to it and stuff like that. But as you can see, J NUG had a huge sell-off. Ended up cutting losses at exactly $13, which is almost the overall bottom. And my average was right around $13.30. And it pushed up right up again that day. It wasn't a huge loss, but then we saw some slight recovery. If you actually see the past like 20 days, this like descending pattern that J NUG has been showing, it's almost like this like bear flag pattern, right? The overall support at $13 and this descending resistance. Does that make sense? So you see how this resistance is higher than this resistance, and then this resistance is higher than this resistance. There's a continuous sell-off. One thing that I was noticing was that if we go on the 180-day chart, there was this like almost cup formation that this SMA indicator was starting to form, right? And when there's this, it's not a peak formation anymore, so it's not going to be most likely acting as a resistance, but it's almost acting more as a support. And if we look at the overall pattern for /GC, the same thing follows. There's more of a cup formation than an overall resistance, right? But something that has been very persistent with /GC is, again, the descending pattern of these overall resistance levels. Do you see how it continues to make lower highs? And that's something that you guys really need to pay attention to. Actually, within the past couple of minutes or hours, there's been a sell-off. So this is what happened during the weekend. So there was some news of these tariffs that were coming into play, and obviously there's this huge increase in catalyst for, if our economy, or there's some form of uncertainty within our economy, it starts to go bearish, right? I mean, there's this form of bearish pattern. Now, when it comes down to gold, right, there's a direct correlation from when our economy goes up, gold goes down, and when our economy goes down, gold goes up. And because of those tariffs, you saw a huge increase in catalyst. I can't say that it was exactly because of that, but all I know is when that news came out, there's a huge rush of volume with these futures, as well as the overall price action that it had. It shot up to highs of 1340. Or 1339 to be exact. But overall, looking at the past previous patterns, that has been a previous resistance level, and you can see that's almost exactly where that EMA indicator was at. So this is something that we need to take into consideration with, let me go ahead and make sure that this makes sense. So I just wanted to explain to you guys like the back end on why I see value in gold right now. There's a lot of volatility within our market, and looking at tickers like J NUG and NUGT. So for those that aren't too familiar and don't like the overall price of J NUG, maybe you might like, well, if you don't, I mean, never mind, because J NUG is actually less expensive. So, but overall, J NUG has been showing this descending pattern, and that's something that I've always been talking about. The support at around $13, very consistent support, and this descending pattern, something that you guys really need to pay attention to. Same thing with NUGT, right? Descending resistance, and overall support at around, like, it's been trying to hold at around like 2350 if we can almost make sense of that, but it's been really struggling, right? This is why I trade J NUG, because it makes a little bit more sense to me. It's a little bit more stable in my opinion with support and resistance levels. But what I wanted to talk about was if /GC and this negative catalyst towards our economy continues to arise, that is going to act as a catalyst to push gold prices up, which means gold futures are going to go up, which means there's a direct correlation on why something like J NUG and NUGT would go up as well. Now, does this mean, like, I just wanted to talk about this because leading up to this week, I think that there might be a lot of volatility with the overall market, and if at least we can understand what has been increasing, something like these gold futures, then we at least have some form of ETFs or some form of opportunity that we can invest in, right? Does that make sense? So if your goal is like 3, 5, 10% growth on a weekly basis, then make sure that whatever it is that you invest in is actively trending up, offers that percentage potential return, and that the overall potential for profit outweighs the potential for loss. So as you can see on the 1-day, 1-minute chart, it looks like it's now trading in between the middle view up and the bottom view up, which shows signs of a descending pattern. And this is the thing that sucks for a lot of people. So for all those that are watching that ended up holding J NUG overnight, right, over the weekend, if the market would have opened at 1340, you guys would have, J NUG would have then been up like to $14 or $15. Right, so almost 16 in reality. It could have potentially pushed J NUG all the way up to $16. And because the market isn't open over the weekend, and because now it's showing signs of a descending pattern, something that you really need to be careful about is if it continues to descend, then if it opens like way down here, then there will be no like increase that you'll really experience, because all this action, all this movement was actually done over the weekend, or it all happened over the weekend, and there was, you didn't have the opportunity to buy or sell or anything like that. So, but again, that is all I really wanted to talk about. The overall patterns for /GC, and then for those that were trading something like /CL. So the futures such as, did you see this huge drop that it had? Look at this huge sell-off that it had. Right as gold futures went up, right? Look at the huge sell-off that /CL had. This would have acted as a negative catalyst, if I'm not mistaken. So let me just make sure and verify the pattern. So overall, this is showing more signs of an ascending uptrend pattern, which is in correlation to Gush. So this would have pushed Gush, as you can see, this would have pushed Gush way down, and this would have made the inverse ETF of Gush, which is DRIP, to push way up. Right, it would have pushed it up to like $14 or something like that. So that would have been very helpful. But again, all this movement is happening over the weekend. So that's why you have to be careful in that perspective. That if you do think that something's going to happen over the weekend, we need to hope that it holds, right? Because if it doesn't hold and it opens at the same price that it closed at by the time that market opens on Monday, then nothing really comes into play for us. So let's see. I made $2,800 on Gush and $2,300 on Drip. Oh, that's really impressive. Nice. Then I bought LPP. Oh, nice. Let's see. What the heck? Buy Hunter. Let's see. Okay. That's it for my breakdowns. And I know you guys might be like, well, what the heck? You didn't really give us like anything to really focus on. Because there's been so much volatility in the market, if you guys have been seeing, I missed out on huge opportunity on Drip, right? One of my biggest trades on Friday was on Drip, and I covered over $1,300 profit. I showed you on my video, right? I showed you guys live, and I showed you my P&L. I missed out on about, what was it, like $1,800, almost $2,000 worth of profit on Drip because of how much it still continued to increase. Because I ended up selling at like $12.23 because I saw some form of resistance there, but then it covered all the way, it covered another $1. So I missed out on about $2,000 profit of potential profit. But again, I could have not known that it would have done that, right? One thing that I've noticed is that the market has been extremely volatile, and there's a lot of like reversal patterns that are trying to form, and that's why I've been so persistent in covering profits as soon as possible. A lot of people noticed that Tesla had a huge week last week, so congratulations to all those that were able to capitalize on that after it broke above the EMA and it actually started actively trending up. But now we can see that there's a lot of consolidation happening at 300. The hype is no longer there. The volume is starting to die out, and then we're starting to see some signs of a potential pullback. Again, and this is why it's very important to know that, hey, based off previous patterns, $300 was a previous support level, which then will most likely act as a new resistance level, which then will correlate over to a pullback. And then we could expect, if we want to see, or if Tesla is going to continue to uptrend, then we would like to see a pullback, a bounce on the EMA, and actually for it to actually start actively trending up. But until then I would kind of like, be a little iffy on a lot of these, to continue to swing trade a lot of these stocks. So there's a lot of, let me actually just talk about, where was it? So something that I don't know, I know I've talked about it for the people that are part of the Learn Plan Profit group, which is my private group, but for those that are part of Tech Up Solutions, let me just talk about these two stocks real quick. I like to focus on two patterns. I've made numerous videos about these patterns. It's very simple. Ascending uptrend patterns, and what do I mean by that? When the overall resistance, so when it pushes up and then pulls back, so the overall resistance, the peak point, ends up making higher highs. So it peaks out, it pulls back. When it pulls back, it doesn't pull back as low as it did before. It pushes up and then it makes new highs. It pulls back, but then when it pulls back, it doesn't go as low as it did before. So it's this ascending uptrend pattern. I like to focus on those, and then I like to focus on horizontal patterns. This is very similar to something like CPG, SPN, and SPN is one of the ones that I'm going to be talking about today. Overall, you can see that it has a very consistent support at around $8, overall resistance at about $10, and has a very consistent overall pattern. It is a little bit volatile. If I'm not mistaken, the volume is going to be a little bit, no, it's not very low, but let's take a little bit more of a step back and the analysis. We can see that it has been starting to show signs of a potential like reversal and a bounce at around $8. But do you see that there's a lot of consolidation happening at around like 850? I want to make sure that the uptrend pattern continues. So we want to see that it holds above 850, that it could break above $9, and then continue to show signs of an uptrend pattern. The other one that I wanted to talk about was APS or APPS. So overall, a pretty solid ascending uptrend pattern. It broke below the SMA indicator, which it has really never really done before other than this one. But although it broke below it, it popped right back up. So overall, if we want to continue an ascending uptrend pattern, we need to make sure that it continues to hold above the SMA indicator, which is this green line. I have a video on YouTube explaining that and in the Learn Plan Profit course as well. But we can see that it's been showing signs of an uptrend pattern. And as we know, old support levels can act as new resistance levels. So we need to make sure that, APPS doesn't end up just peaking out here and then getting rejected, that it pushes up, holds above the SMA indicator, which acts then as a support, and then it continues to uptrend. That's what I would like to see with this specific ticker. And then we've been getting a lot of consolidation with IO. IO was one of our top callouts when it had this reversal. Overall resistance, as you guys can see, is at around, if I'm not mistaken, around $27, and overall support based off previous patterns has been around $25. But again, a very horizontal pattern, not really showing a lot of upward momentum, and I think it's just because the market has been very stagnant within the past couple of days. So let's go ahead and I want to try this again. Let's see. Boom, there we go. I like it. So fluid. So let's see. All right. So let's go ahead and start getting, let's do a couple breakdowns for all of you. So for those that have a stock, again, something that is actively trending up. So on the 180-day EMA, I need it to be above the 180-day EMA, and I need it to actively start trending up. If it's trending down, if it's getting rejected by the resistance, I don't want to talk about it. If I see it right away, that it's what's it called? Actually, still getting rejected by that 180-day EMA, I'm not going to break it down. So please, again, be considerate for other people that actually have stocks that they want others to break down. So let's go ahead and see. So we already talked about Gush. We already talked about it. What's going on, Tom? Thank you, thank you. What's going on, guys? So let's see. All right, so we got, let me make this here. Let's see. CRC. Okay, so we can see that CRC is actively trending up. It did just break above a previous support level, which is then now acting as a previous resistance level, and we can see that it's done that before at around $18. And the only thing that I would kind of look out for is, do you see this SMA indicator, which has acted as a previous support level? It's now looking to act more as a resistance level. And because it's at that price point, we want to make sure that it continues to push up. So almost if there could be like a, an intersection between the EMA and the SMA, and then we could still see the EMA actively pointing up, then I think that would be in favor of CRCR. But until then, it's showing more signs of like a bull flag pattern. Does that make sense? So resistance here, ascending support line, right? And then we'll see a lot of consolidation within that within this area right here. So I would like to set an alert maybe when it breaks a little bit more above like 1930, and then we could follow up with this one when we get more of a confirmation of an uptrend. So I would like to do that. So thank you for that call out. Let's see. Whoa. Again, if you guys call out tickers with just like the ticker symbol themselves, I'm not going to break it down. It has to be call out in the ticker symbol format. So ticker symbol. What the heck? What is that? CRS? Okay. All right, so CRS is showing signs of a potential reversal. One thing that I do want to note about this is that it was showing signs of an uptrend pattern when it was trending or actively trending up above this SMA indicator. After it peaked out, you can see that the SMA indicator started a flatline, a lot of consolidation, and then now it got rejected by the SMA indicator. It started trending down, and it's now starting to recover. So what I think, do I think that this is going to potentially make new highs? I think this is much more valid for it to potentially get rejected at around $50, which still offers more than 10% potential for profit. So as long as it, what's kind of the pattern that I'm kind of looking for it to potentially, like the pattern that I'm kind of looking for is would be this itself. Do you see how it was getting rejected by the EMA, just like it was doing here? Had a sell-off, it consolidated, it broke above the EMA, and we want to see it continue to hold up above the EMA, right? And until then, I mean, we're getting a slight pullback. We would like to get a pullback confirmation for us to ensure that, hey, it's going to bounce, make higher lows, and then for it to, break 46, make higher highs, and then continue to recover to the overall resistance at $50. So I'm going to set an alert here at $46 to get alerted when it makes higher highs. So thank you again for that call out. Let's see. What's going on? ITES. Let's see. Okay, so this, I personally don't like this one. I'm going to be completely frank with you guys. As you guys can see, there was a huge increase in volume, which acted as an overall catalyst, right, for the overall price. Then it started to descend. SMA indicator, it tries to validate that. We could see that it's showing more signs of a potential reversal, so it's going to be pulling back. Do you guys see that? So it peaked out, it started to consolidate, and now it's looking like it might break below the EMA, and then we might get a pullback, potential bounce at around or near the price of the SMA. But one thing that I could also see is that it's been making lower highs, right? So it's been showing almost the sign of a descending pattern, which I don't think is very attractive for something like this, especially because the volume has been dying out. So again, very low volume. I think that there is some form of manipulation that's going into this, and that's not something that I want to partake. Volume is very low, so my account size would not be something that I would. This just wouldn't be something that I would invest in. The potential for profit isn't worth the risk. It's a little bit too risky for me. But I appreciate you calling it out, Muhammad. Expert. Okay, so we could see signs of a potential uptrend pattern. Previous support level at around $20. So you see this previous support here. Validate that support here. It's pushing up above the EMA. That's great. I mean, it's had about 2 green days. We want to make sure that it continues to hold above the EMA. MACD indicator is good. The only thing that I would watch out for, it didn't look like it really acted as much of a resistance last time, but the SMA indicator. Let's just make sure that it can break above the SMA indicator and that we don't buy right before the SMA and then it gets rejected and then it has a sell-off. So let's make sure that we, what's it called? Take that into consideration. But based off previous patterns, I could see the resistance to be right around $24. So as long as we get a confirmation on this EMA to the overall $24 price point, I mean, it has a pretty decent percentage potential for profit, a little bit over 10%. So great call out on that. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like a lot of people are talking about X. And, okay. So first of all, I talked about X on Friday. It was actually one that I took a small position on, and it was because of this potential reversal pattern. So a lot of people want me to talk about it just because of the sell-off that it had and this ascending uptrend pattern. You guys could see the little pattern that I drew. Overall, pretty solid ascending uptrend pattern when it came down to this overall ticket, right? And one thing that you do want to note that happened this time that it hasn't really done before is that it's actively trending down below the SMA indicator. I want you guys to know that even though I'm investing in this one, I will completely, even though I have my money in this one, I will completely show you everything it is on why you should potentially not invest in this ticker, because I want to be completely honest with what's going on with the overall pattern. And if I got in too early, or if I'm down on my current position, then that doesn't mean that I want other people to join me, right? I hope you guys all know that. We could see that there's the signs of an ascending uptrend pattern, right? So it continues to make higher lows and it continues to make higher highs. That's great. Right now, it has not shown any validation that it's going to bounce. And that's something that I wish I would have waited for. I got in a little bit too. Really what it was I was up over $3,300 profit on the week. Now, my position size isn't very aggressive, right? So it's not huge. But one thing that I thought was, I'm getting in before the confirmation. That's why I didn't take a full account size position, right? I took a 40% position. So 40% of my normal positions is what I took on this, and I can average up. So I made a video talking a little bit more about that in the Learn Plan Profit group. But we could see that there is potential for this to make, higher highs. But I would like to wait for the confirmation. That's all I want to say about it. Right now, it's still actively trending down. I don't care if I'm invested in it. I don't think that, if I was not invested in it and I saw the pattern, I probably would not invest in it right now. And I'm being completely honest with you guys. Something that you guys obviously want to also look out for is when it's going to have its next earnings, which is going to be 4/27/2018. Just something to take into consideration if you're planning on swing trading this one for a long period of time. But if I can get anything above $36, I know it has the potential to make higher highs, but again, I'm very conservative. Especially with the market volatility that's been going on, I just don't want to rely on hope or based off previous patterns on what it's been doing, because again, I would hate for me to be up, maybe a couple hundred or a couple $1,000s, and then because of, maybe a couple $100 more, I didn't cover profits, and then I end up being red. Just something to take into consideration. I'm talking about, yeah, so my setting is set up, so you guys could see my setting for the 180-day EMA is set up with a 4-hour chart. So that's what I mean by the 180-day EMA. Let's see. My goodness. Okay, so SQ, if I'm not mistaken, that thing is still actively trending down, so I'm not going to break that down. HMNY. I told you guys if something is actively trending down, I'm not going to break it down. And just like I said, actively trending down, why would I want to invest in that? Like you guys need to be like realistic with yourselves. If it's actively trending down, why would anyone want to invest in it? Like so this is a good call out. It was actively trending up. This is Crocs. So those very stylish shoes. They're actually not stylish at all. They're so unstylish that I probably wouldn't even wear them. But overall, you can see this really nice ascending uptrend pattern. Do you see how far away? Very easy to view, right? 180-day 4-hour chart, how far away it is from this SMA indicator. It almost shows signs of a peak. Do you see that this EMA is also starting to show signs of this potential reversal? Something that you might want to take into consideration, as it's showing some signs of a potential rejection or pullback, just like it did last time, right? It pulls back, it bounces near to or close to the SMA indicator, and then it bounces and makes higher highs. I think because this pattern has been so consistent, I would like to add this to my watch list, and I'm also going to set my alert. Based off previous resistance levels, it was right around $15, so I'm going to set an alert when the stock goes below $15, and I would just like to be reminded. I'm also going to set an alert for randomly if it makes higher highs, then I would like to be alerted as well. So I like this call out. I don't think it's a good buy right now. I think it would be a better buy when it sells off, bounces, breaks back again above the EMA, and then it starts actively trending up. That's what I would find, a much more good deal, right? Especially for this specific ticker. So I'm going to go here, and then, I already have it in my watch list. Do I? Oh, okay. That's good. Let's see. So Chris Howell has a question. So Ricky, what are your thoughts on Robinhood Gold? Is it really worth it for a smaller $1,000 account? So in my honest opinion, if you're going to use Robinhood Gold to use for extended hours or the instant feature, then I don't find that to be a bad deal. But if you're going to use it based off of leverage and you're just starting out, no, I would not borrow money to try to make money, especially when you're just getting started in a market where 95% of people lose money. Right now, all you should be thinking is all I want to do is continuously grow my account, focus on percentage growth, and until you prove to yourself that week after week that you can grow your account 3-5% on a weekly basis, on a consistent basis for let's say a month, 2 months, 3 months, then I'd be like, okay, well, you've proven to yourself that you can grow your account. Maybe investing more money would make sense. But until then, I personally do not think that that is the smartest choice. So that's why when a lot of people ask me, hey, Ricky, what is it that you think how much money should I start investing with? I say you should start saving a lot of money. So just like I always say, saving money is always the best idea if you're bringing in a decent amount, or even if you're not, right? Saving money is key. But I would work on simulation trading with fake money, being able to trade real stocks with no monetary risk. That's what I'd recommend for everyone, especially if you're just getting started. I just killed the fly. Boom. All right, so we just broke down X. GoPro, if I'm not mistaken, GoPro is still actively trending down. Yeah, what? Guys, I said if it's actively trending down, I mean, it's getting rejected. Do you guys see this? So it's trending up above, so I get that, up above the 180-day EMA, but it's continuously getting rejected by this SMA indicator, which is acting as a resistance. So if we look at the overall potential for profit, again, this is a descending pattern, so there's a higher risk with that. So if you're okay with that, first of all, it might not even continue to bounce. If it doesn't bounce and hold above the EMA, then I can see this thing to continue to make lower lows. So that's a risk that you take on with descending patterns. But overall, I do see the potential for it to potentially hit and close to that SMA indicator, which offers a little bit over 10%. I think it's just a little bit riskier. If you're okay with that, then great. If you're not, then you definitely don't have to trade it. So and that is also true. Hey, what's going on, Brad? You cannot get Robinhood Gold. I think you need $2,000. Last time I checked, it was $2,000. I don't use Robinhood anymore, but last time I checked, it was $2,000 that you had to have as an account minimum. So AKS is doing a lot of consolidation. It's not actively trending up. It's not actively trending down. It comes down to opportunity cost. Is this, guys? It's all I want to remind you guys is, especially if you're part of the Learn Plan Profit Group. So we have a little bit over 1,000 people that are joining us live right now. And we have a couple of people that are calling other things out, but here, let me do this. Shoot, how do I do this? There we go. Okay, so I want to remind you guys that, okay, and I mean this because I feel like people like, we're making this a little bit more complicated than it has to be. A lot of good stocks are being called out, but a lot of bad ones, or a lot of stocks that are descending. So they're not bad ones. They're just ones that are not showing any signs of why it would be a good investment. All I wanted to remind you guys is you guys are all smart people. You guys are watching this video, and I keep reminding you guys are watching these videos not because I'm entertaining, but because you guys are relatively smarter people than the average person, right? At least, you know, that's what we want to believe, right? Now, with that understanding, why would you want to invest in something that's actively trending down, right? If you're part of the Learn Plan Profit Group, I have a requirement for every person that's part of it that every single Sunday or Monday, but by the time by Monday, you need to have at least one stock that you see value in that is going to offer the percentage potential, your percentage weekly goal potential. So if your weekly goal to grow your account is anywhere from around 3 to 5%, then the stock that you see value in for your top quality stock, just one. It could be one or it could be two, but realistically, again, we want to stay very micro focused. It could just be one. And it just doesn't make sense to me on why a lot of these stocks that are being called out are actively trending down. It's either that you guys have already taken a position. Sorry, I'm trying to kill another fly. I'm sorry. I got it. Shoot. Dang it. Damn it. All right. But the biggest thing is it just doesn't make sense to me on how someone, like, you guys have worked so hard for your money. Why are you trying to invest in just anything? Why? If someone tells you that they made whatever, like 1,000% return on their stock, that does not mean that you should invest in it. If you don't see value in it and you don't understand why it went up, or there's no correlation to overall patterns on why it went up, then why would you invest in it? Not even $1, like not even a penny. Why would you invest in a pattern that does not make sense? If you have no understanding on why it's a good investment, why invest your hard-earned money in that? There's a lot of people, especially there's a very infamous platform out there that's called StockTwits that a lot of people do. I mean, people get paid to promote stocks, and I need you guys to know that, right? People get paid to promote stocks. With that understanding, you should be on high alert when someone tells you, even when I tell you, right? Even when I want you guys to be completely self-sufficient. And even if I make a couple $1,000s on a stock, I always remind you guys that you should never invest in what I invest in, especially if you don't see value in it. And that's what I'm just here to remind you about. It's very simple. You, on a weekly basis, have a goal for yourself. You break down all your watch list, and out of the entire watch list, you pick 1 or 2 stocks that's going to get you to your weekly goal, percentage goal, right? Because we're working on growing our accounts. Now, the stock, in my opinion, has to be actively trending up. It has to offer the percentage potential return that you see value in. And you need to understand it. Like, you need to either understand the overall fundamentals on why, if there's some form of news that would push the stock up, or you need to understand the technicals, if it's actively trending up, if there's, some form of indication of there to be an uptrend. Very simple. I feel like people are overcomplicating it, or are really dumbing it down so much that they're just investing in anything just based on other people's opinion because the stock market is so accessible. Please be completely just picky with what you choose to invest your hard-earned money on, especially with the market being so volatile. I would hate for you guys to be discouraged to ever invest in the stock market again by not actually just doing your due diligence, and that's it. So there's a lot of great stocks that are being called out, and I thank you guys for that, but there's a lot of bad ones that are being called out as well. And all I want to remind you is, if right now you're having trouble, or you're being or you're getting overwhelmed picking your top stock for the week, take a step back and chill out for the day. But tomorrow when the market opens, because right now I'm kind of iffy. That's why I don't have really a top stock. I just wanted to talk about overall patterns that, hey, gold futures are going up and there is a slight pullback, but I wanted to see if they continue to hold, because then I can invest in gold-based ETFs if this pattern continues, because the market has been so volatile. But right now, I don't know. I don't know like what's going on. A lot of these patterns are just being like, even on the technical standpoint, they're a little bit more difficult to understand than they were before. And that's why I just want to take a step back. I have this requirement, right, that I've promised to the people within TechBit Solutions and Learn, Plan, Profit, that every Sunday we come together. And I just wanted to talk about the overall patterns for gold, because that's all I see value in right now. Not even a specific ETF, because if I see /GC to continue to sell off, then I'll invest in JDSC, which is the inverse ETF, and I'll take my 2 to 3% there and call it a day. But if I see there to be a potential reversal pattern and then /GC on its way to make higher highs because of these like tariffs that were just released, then I'll invest in J NUG, because then it makes sense on why that would continue to trend up. But right now, when I was trading Drip and when I was trading Gush, and then Drip making higher highs and Gush making higher lows or lower lows, then it's just very confusing. And I just want to remind you guys that if you don't have your top stock right now, that's 100% okay. Just have a goal for yourself that tomorrow you'll dedicate 15 to 20 minutes to go through your entire watch list and just pick one stock that you're going to focus on, wait for a confirmation for, or potentially invest in. When it's actively trending up, it offers the percentage potential for profit that you want, so the opportunity cost is worth it for you, and that you understand the overall pattern or why it is that you're investing in it. Before you take that position, before you swipe up on Robinhood, or before you click the button to buy on whatever brokerage it is that you use, just ask yourself, do you understand the potential for profit that the stock has to offer and the risk involved before taking the position? That's all. So that is really just it. Let's see. So there's another, there's people still want me to break down. Let's see, HBR. Oh. Okay, nope, a lot of consolidation. It's showing signs of a sell-off. Do you see this? It's trending now below the EMA indicator. We would need to see some signs of a confirmation. It looks like it's getting rejected by the SMA. It's not an uptrend. DVN, no. Yeah, there's no uptrend here. There's nothing that's pushing the stock up. A lot of consolidation. It's not trending up. Why is this your top stock? Like, I don't want to be mean, and I'm not trying to be mean, but guys, like just take a step back and look at the patterns. Like, that's not showing any signs of an uptrend pattern. Okay, now it just looks, I'm sorry guys, but now it just looks like people are just throwing out tickers, and it just doesn't make sense. So, like, I'm all about, let's see what happens here. Nope, and there we go, another one. Descending pattern. Actually, I think I know this one, which was. It's showing signs of a potential reversal. It might be a little bit too early to tell. I like this. If you guys could see, I've done my technical analysis on this one before. I have my alert set here. I want it to make higher highs, and then watch out for the resistance on this SMA indicator. It's not even that. So Josh Lopez is asking, how many days or weeks do you consider an uptrend? It's not even that, like how many days. Like it could be either 1 or 2 days, or it could be a couple weeks. But it's on that pullback confirmation. So when it pulls back and then confirms and bounces on the EMA, that is a confirmation of an uptrend pattern. That it doesn't just push up and then gets rejected again. So again, like this, that it pushes up and then again gets rejected by the SMA indicator. There is no pullback confirmation that it pushes up, pulls back, bounces on the EMA, and then makes higher highs. That's a pullback confirmation. So sometimes it takes a couple of days, very few days, or sometimes it takes a couple of weeks. It's different every single time. No. So, and then people are talking, this one was asked, so many people asked me to break this one down. So this is Elfin. This is a little bit relatively of a newer company, or a newer IPO that was recently launched, or not that recent, but it was in late 2017, and we could see that it had a huge sell-off. So first, a huge red flag that should go off is, why did this sell off? Look into the fundamentals. What led to this huge sell-off? Yes, it is showing signs of this potential cup and handle pattern, but watch out for the SMA indicator. Again, there's a huge spike in volume, which means that there's a lot of obvious manipulation. There's a lot of obvious catalyst for why this thing is pushing up. Just know that once that volume dies out, so will the overall price itself. So then just be careful for a potential, continue another sell-off. Just once the hype dies out, that's just something that I want to make sure that you guys are all aware of. Appreciate that, Skylar. Okay. Let's see. Actively trending down. It looks like it's getting rejected by the SMA indicator. Do you see it get rejected right there? It's pushing down. Now it's trying to push back up. Its margin of profit, I don't think it's going to be worth it. It's about 4%. I'm watching something that I think offers a little bit more potential for profit. So I would have to say no on that one for myself. Okay, so it looks like Elfin is under major investigation. That's not, yeah. Send. Okay, so we could see this pretty steady, solid uptrend. I mean, I kind of like that. It is actively trending down below the EMA. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set an alert. I don't know anything about this one. I'm going to have to revisit it when I have a little bit more time. But you can see the MACD indicator is starting to curve back up. RSI is a little bit more on the oversold, so it indicates somewhat of a good deal. And again, it is showing signs of a potential reversal. So based off of what it's done before, is it gets rejected by this blue line, which is what we call the EMA. It consolidates for quite some time. It pushes up above the EMA, consolidates, pulls back, confirms the uptrend pattern, makes higher highs, and then continues to push up. That's what I would like to see. So I want to see it actually break above the EMA, pull back, bounce, and then make higher highs. That's pretty solid. So I'm going to end it here. I want to end it with a good call out, a decent call out, and then just end it there. So yeah. So and that is exactly just it. So Edward says everything seems to be downtrending. I just want to remind you guys that the market has been very volatile, right? With that understanding, so Martin, if you continue to do this, I'll block you. There's no question that the market has been very volatile, right? With that understanding, everyone should be on high alert, very conservative, in my opinion, on covering profits. That's all, and that's why I've been stressing the past 3 weeks how important it is to cover profits. That's all I've been doing. I've been talking to you guys of me covering profits way too early, but I would much rather cover profits way too early and be up $3,000 week after week and be hitting my weekly goal in a conservative standpoint, even when the market is down. And I'm a true example on how simple it can be to only trade patterns that you understand and focus on just what makes sense for you or what makes sense to you. So yes, the market has been extremely volatile. It doesn't mean that there's no area or area for money, or no margin for money. So with that understanding, we should be very conservative. We should only invest in what we understand, not what other people are telling us. And just make sure before you take your position that it actually makes sense to you. Keep it simple, 1 or 2 stocks for this entire week that is going to get you to your weekly goal, and I hope that you guys are one step closer to becoming more consistent and profitable traders. So no, it's not even that. So I like that. My goal this week is 3 to 5%. I like that. Thank you again for sharing. So it's not like the market is bearish. There's a lot. I've made a video and it's just because of content on YouTube. But there is no confirmation that the overall market is bearish right now. It's not showing signs of a continuous downward pattern, but it is showing signs of a potential just there's a pullback, right? And because of this pullback, it puts a lot of people on edge, and that's why I'm just here to remind you guys that it might not be a bad idea to cover profits when you're green and to not overtrade. Very simple. Keeping it simple. Focus on quality trades. Do not invest based on other people's opinion, especially not during this time or ever, right? And that is it. So I don't know if you guys are still calling out ticker symbols, but yeah, I'm not doing them anymore. So I'm sorry that this week has been a little bit of a different week for me. So especially this live stream, I feel like I'm just here to remind you guys on how important it is to. I feel like people overcomplicate what the stock market is. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into it, and it can become second nature. There's a lot of work that you'll have to do getting to a certain point where it can become second nature to you. But what I want to remind you is that, especially if you're just getting started, it's going to take some time for you to fully understand what the market has to offer, and to become familiar with all these both the fundamentals and the technicals of being able to understand the stock market. But just like I uploaded in yesterday's video, if you truly see value in the stock market, if it's something that you're passionate about, then I would really encourage you, especially with no monetary risk, right? You guys can start paper trading, simulation trading, to really consider really taking trading seriously. Really not trading based on other people's opinion and being spoon-fed by other people's alerts, but truly understanding and dedicating time to learning how to successfully and consistently grow your account. That's all I want to challenge you guys on. To challenge yourself to actually grow your account, even if it's 1%, even if it's 10%, regardless of what it is, week after week, that you trade quality stocks and ETFs or whatever it is that you see value in, and that you grow your account week after week. That's all. Very simple. Don't trade based on other people's opinion, and that's it. So I'm sorry that I've been very kind of on edge, especially this past couple of weeks. I've just been getting the same questions. You guys can only imagine, right? We have nearly 138,000 subscribers and a little bit over 90,000 members within our free trading community for TechBud Solutions. Even the couple thousand members that we have part of Learn Plan Profit, right? That's my private group. I'm still getting the same questions. First of all, if you're part of the Learn Plan Profit course and private group, you guys should be going through the course, and I cover all this stuff in the course. And I feel like I'm one of the it's the first link in the description, right? I just want to remind you guys that if you're interested in actually taking trading very seriously, and you want to work with me on a daily basis, I would invest 30 seconds or a minute, click that first link in the description, and learn a little bit more about my private group. I talk about them all the time. I speak to them every single day at Market Open for about 30 minutes to an hour, and it's all I ask you is to have some structure with your trading. And I feel like that's a huge area of opportunity where a lot of people lack in. Obviously, I feel like I'm pretty disciplined, and I'm a little bit different in that perspective. And I tend to help a lot of those people that aren't as structured, aren't as disciplined, just because they just need to be reminded. And I feel like I'm pretty fluent with what it is that I do, and a lot of people like that. So all I want to remind you guys is to just take a step back and really just I don't even know what to say. It's been a heck of a week. There's a lot of not only stuff going on with our trading group, but with the admins themselves. And I just want to remind you guys that hey, we started this trading community, TechBud Solutions, and we grew it to over 90,000 members on the idea that we wanted to provide quality information for the masses. And I feel like with a lot of people becoming very emotional, it's getting to our heads, right? And I just want to remind you guys that it doesn't matter it's not important how you feel, it's not important how I feel on overall market conditions, because the market's going to perform the way that it wants. All I ask you guys is you know, we're a team, especially within TechBud Solutions, and that's why I think we've grown at such a rapid pace. And let's just remind that, let's keep that in mind. And every time, like, you know, when I have a green day and I see that other people aren't having such a green day, I'm not here to throw it in other people's faces. I'm here to remind them that, hey, even on your worst days, like, I'm here to uplift you. And that's what I think our trading community is all about. So thank you guys again for your time and for tuning into this live stream. I hope that I didn't take too much of your guys' time. I just want to remind you guys that, like, you know, like, if there's anything that I can do, you guys know that you guys can direct message me via the TechBud Solutions Discord chat. All I ask you is to take into consideration that I get hundreds of messages every single day, and that if it's not something that you really need to ask me, then, you know, maybe you can ask me when I go live on YouTube, or when I go live in the TechBuds chat, and you can speak to me there, or in the Learn, Plan, Profit chat. You know, yeah. Don't get frustrated, Ricky. You're doing a great job. No, I'm not frustrated. I'm truly blessed with everything that I've been given, and I want to remind all those that are becoming very emotional to take a step back and to really, like, look at the big picture. And that, yes, if we've been experiencing maybe a couple of weeks of red trades, unfortunately for some people, to just think, like, you know, how long we actually have to make this work for us, right? And don't let, like, maybe a couple days or a couple trades or a couple weeks ruin this overall opportunity or market for you when you do see a lot of value in it, or if it's something that actually makes you happy. And that's all I want for you guys. So that is really just it. So thank you guys again for everything it is that you guys do. I hope that you guys all have had an amazing weekend. I'm really looking forward to the live stream tomorrow. And I'm not going to do one at market open. I'll probably do one like 2 or 3 hours after the market opens, and I will have a little bit more details for you on what's it called? On you know, maybe, like, you know, I'll have a little bit more of a better understanding of, I think, overall market conditions, and I would like to make a follow-up video on that. So if you guys aren't subscribed already, you know, we'd really love to have you as a part of our trading community. So be sure to click that subscribe button. I do have a couple members within our TechBud Solutions overall team. There are actually future channels within the right-hand side. So once you visit my, let's see if it does the full. Actually, no, we'll do the small. So once you guys get over here, so actually we can go here and go to. Once you guys visit my YouTube channel, you guys can see that, you know, there's a couple admins that we have. So we have Harley, Vin, and B. Smith. Be sure to subscribe to them if you guys aren't subscribed already. They're some of the admins within our group, as well as we do have a lot of admins within our TechBud Solutions trading community. We have, like, Lupo, we have Ferris, and as you can see, they're always very active within our group. Be sure, if you see them around, to, wow. Just to thank them for their time, right? If it wasn't for them and for all the admins and also the different partners that we have part of TechBud Solutions, it wouldn't be possible and to have this, like, free trading community that we do have now. So I want to thank, sorry about that, headphone users. So hope you guys all have an amazing Sunday. I'm sorry, I'm really, like, out of it today. Continue working hard, continue following your dreams, let your passion be what drives in your success. And like always, guys, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. If you guys can give the video a thumbs up, you know, we'd greatly appreciate that. If you guys want to invest 30 seconds and click, you know, the links down below. The first link is to learn a little bit more about my private group and how it is that you can work with me on a daily basis. And then the third link is to join our free TechBud Solutions community. I got a new Google Home. So if you guys want to hear it, okay, Google, play. It's a little loud. Gucci gang, 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 Gucci.